Hey guys, it's me Jill from ThatJapanLife. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be sharing some exciting news. Are you ready for it? Drum roll. I think I have found the best new Japanese learning app. What is that app and why exactly do I think it's the best one out there? That's what we will be talking about in this video. It is common knowledge that in any endeavor, the hardest part is always getting started, getting from 0 to 1. And that is definitely true in my case when it comes to studying Japanese as well. In the beginning, it's like I've always had the motivation, but I just couldn't find the right tool to get me started. Are you on the same boat? Well, worry no more because the app that I'll be introducing today is perfect for those who are just getting started on learning the language and want to progress quickly, but at the same time build a strong foundation of the Japanese language. Don't worry though if you're also in the more advanced stages or like me have been studying the language for a few years but want to keep the motivation and the interest in the language up. This app is also perfect for you. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Hey Japan. So just a quick background, Hey Japan was developed by the same people who brought to us the amazing app Todai Easy Japanese News. If you haven't checked it out, I have made a review of it and it's definitely something that you should get as well. Very useful. You don't even have to get the premium account to gain a lot of knowledge, although I would still recommend getting the premium because it's really worth it. So this same developer and these two apps are really good for learning Japanese and I highly recommend them. You could go to the App Store right now and search for Hey Japan. It should be the first result that comes out. It has this cute little icon. Just download it right now because believe me, you're gonna need it. So then why am I so in love with this app? I will tell you. Let me just remind everyone that this is a sponsored video, but all of the opinion that I will be sharing are my own honest opinion. So first thing that really impressed me about this one is the user interface. As you can see here, it's very smooth, very cute. Obviously, they care so much about the user experience, and it's not just about being cute. The response time of the app is very quick. The graphics are very sharp, and you could see that it was really well developed. Honestly, I consider myself a connoisseur of Japanese learning apps out there, and there are some apps that really frustrate me because I really like the content or the idea behind the app, but using it just gives me a headache. And I'm not getting a headache because I'm studying a new language. I'm getting a headache because I'm trying to make sense of the user interface, or I'm trying to look at the graphics which are just not high quality at all. And so I feel like those apps are just basically putting Japanese information into an app so that the developers could earn from ads put in those apps. But when it comes to Hey Japan, I do not feel that at all. I really feel like this app was made for me. It was made for someone who wants to use an app in order to study a language, and this app therefore was designed nicely so that I will have a nice time studying. And so that's number one, the user interface. The second thing that I really love about this app and what I think is its main selling point is the structure. Since the app is basically geared towards beginners who want to advance their Japanese levels, the lessons are structured in such a way that even someone who has no prior experience in studying the language would be quickly able to make sense and understand the lessons and where it should go. So the first lesson, as you can see here at the very top, introduces you to the two basic writing systems or alphabets in Nihongo. And that's definitely one of the basic things that you should know and you should understand if you want to learn Japanese. Now from there, the app currently has an impressive, get this, 131 lessons available, and those are arranged in increasing levels of difficulty and cover topics such as, of course, the alphabet, essential nouns, expressions for everyday life, different verb tenses, other parts of speech, causative verbs, and even up to the very notorious honorific and humble language aspects of the Japanese language. What this basically means is that someone Using this app alone, no other pricey apps, no other books, heavy books, using this app alone, someone can go from zero Japanese to conversational and even business level Japanese. How great is that? And how amazing value is that for an app? So those 131 lessons basically make up the curriculum of the class. And you might be thinking right now, okay, 131 lessons, that's a lot. And maybe they're just trying to win by numbers and the content of each lesson is actually not good. Well, if you're thinking that, you are wrong, because the lessons themselves, if you ask me, are even more impressive, especially for an audiovisual learner such as myself. They're a dream. So each lesson starts with a theory unit, and that's basically your learning unit where you get all of the necessary information for that lesson or for that level. And that theory unit is divided into two parts. You have the vocabulary and the grammar. So the vocabulary part, of course, lists down the words that you need to learn, and it gives it to you not only in Japanese, but also in furigana, and even with an English translation. And they don't stop there. They also give you a sample sentence using that vocabulary, and that sample sentence English translation. That's a lot, but again, they didn't even stop there yet. So you also get, by pressing on these speaker icons here, you actually get to hear the pronunciation of those vocabulary and even the sample sentences using that vocabulary.
こんにちは。
Hearing these recordings from the very beginning would already enhance your listening skills, because you get to listen to the natural pronunciation of the Japanese words, and you could also use this in order to improve your own speaking, because you are confident that the pronunciation that you're hearing is correct, and then also you will be confident in mimicking the pronunciation that you are hearing. So that is really a great tool for learning the vocabulary. Not to mention that it would help with retaining the information or memorizing the information, because you don't only get to read it, you get to have an example of it, you get to have its English translation, you even get to hear it. So I really like this vocabulary part of the theory unit. And then on the grammar part, you have some grammar points or grammar structure that are being introduced. And what I like about the grammar part for this app is that they don't confuse you with very long explanations of the grammar point, because I hate it when books do that. What you have here is a very brief but very clear and very concise of the grammar point that they're trying to teach you. After Unit 1, you get, depending on the length of the lesson, you get 2 or more units that are what I call test units. And this is my favorite part of each lesson. As the name suggests, so what these units do is they test your understanding and retention of the information that you have learned from Unit 1. But what makes the tests in this app special is, instead of simply going with the multiple choice route, which is very boring, very predictable, and if you ask me, not really very helpful in retaining information, what this app does is it combines different types of questions in order to test you on the same topic. So it's really impossible not to retain the information. For example, they of course have multiple choice questions, but instead of having it just words, they use pictures for your choices, and that really helps with remembering, especially if you're a visual learner. As I've mentioned, I'm very visual, and so that helps me memorize or remember or recall the words that I'm trying to recall. But just some of my favorite types of questions that I've listed down here, they have these sentence construction questions that let you rewrite the Japanese translation of an English sentence. So imagine on your screen, you drag the words and try to compose that sentence in Japanese. They even have these speaking type tests. So what happens is they have this audio recording, and then they would play it, and then after it's played, after you've listened to it, you get to record your own version of that word or that sentence. So the tests are also letting you practice your speaking and your pronunciation. Another type of test that I really like are the writing tests, and they are actually writing tests because even on the very early levels, they would let you write like entire words in Japanese. So you could use your fingers, or if you have what do you call that, like an Apple pen or something like that, then you could also use it to write on the screen. So you're also already writing even kanjis on the earlier level, and that's really a lot of skills that you're learning in just one app, and in just about one topic. So that topic gets to be really ingrained in your brain. They also have like multiple choice and sentence construction questions that ask you to translate like Japanese sentences to English or English sentences to Japanese. And they have these grammar exercises that asks you to like fill in the blanks or where a certain word should go. And so I really enjoyed having these different types of questions, and I think they are really, really good for learning and retaining information. Again, for this part, they really put in the quantity, so many, many different types of questions, but they did not slide on quality either. So, for example, before I mentioned that they have these tests that let you record your voice. For that type of test, I was really impressed because I tried, for example, like adding in words to my sentences or like giving the wrong sentence, and the recording on the app is really sensitive, and it really catches the wrong words that I say or the entire sentences that I say. And so I think it can really help develop not only your sentence construction but your pronunciation as well. And also in the writing test that I have mentioned, so of course, hiragana, katakana, and kanji all have like writing orders, and those writing tests really facilitate and help you practice the proper stroke order, because if you don't follow the proper stroke order, then it's gonna mark it as wrong and you need to do it again. You really must try them to see what I mean, because just going through these tests really put me in awe of just how much work the developers put into just organizing and creating this app and these questions. It's really impressive, believe me. And another thing that I like about these test units is that you can adjust the settings based on your personal preference or maybe your level of Japanese. So, for example, you could choose whether you would like the questions to be shown in Japanese, in furigana, and also romaji, or if you feel like can already read the Japanese and you don't really need the romaji and the hiragana anymore, then you could also choose not to show them. You could adjust the font size and other settings right there. So yes, that's another thing that shows how they really thought about this customer experience and the customer convenience. And plus, another thing that I really like about the test units is how the questions build on what you have learned in the previous lesson. So, for example, maybe on a previous lesson you learned the structure something like that, using that, so that is a dog. And then on another lesson, you learned about using the Japanese word no. There's ownership. He is my brother. And then further along the line, those vocabulary and those grammar points would somehow be combined, and you could get a sentence something like, that is my brother's dog. So it makes it very easy and very light to learn new concepts if you are building on what has already been previously learned. So those are the test units, and once you have cleared the test units, the last 3 units of each lesson are the same, and those are labeled speaking, writing, and review. And obviously, what those do is give you another set of tests. The speaking unit obviously lets you do just all of the speaking tests. related to the lesson. The writing unit lets you do all of the writing tests, and the review unit just gives you a combination of the different types of questions. Now, the thing is, you don't really have to clear these last 3 levels once you've cleared the other test units. So you could actually proceed to the next lesson already. But they're sort of just like a bonus, and I think they're a nice bonus because if you want to like concentrate on improving your speaking, then you could just do the speaking unit. And as you can see, the way the tests and the lessons on this app were created, organized, and presented were really well thought of, and I really tip my hats off to the developers. And that alone should be reason enough why you should get this app. But there are other parts of the app which you might find interesting, and these are things which I call the bonus features. And let me just discuss them with you as well. The first bonus feature that I really like is they have this preset schedule. So you can access this by simply clicking on this icon at the bottom right. This feature lets you set daily study goals by indicating the amount of time that you are willing to give every day into using the app. This is very convenient. For example, if you want to dedicate your commute time to studying Japanese by using the app. So every morning you know that you have 30 minutes which you would otherwise spend being stuck inside the train and browsing through Instagram. And so you want to make those 30 minutes productive. So just set 30 minutes, and then now you have basically a lesson plan already, and you know how much you should be covering every day or up to which lesson you should finish every day. It presents to you the daily schedule for the next 30 days, and I like it because it gives me the big picture of where my studies are going. And I also find it very, very motivating to know, like, even if I just spend 15 minutes every day, I have a path that I'm going down on, and that path is leading to the improvement of my Japanese. For example, if I would set to study 45 minutes every day, I would see that on the 26th day I would already be covering lessons that are for the N4 level Japanese. Isn't that very motivating, especially if you're a beginner? Just think about it. You had zero Japanese and just 26 days, you would already be on JLPT N4 level. That's really, really, really good. Another bonus feature which you might find interesting is they have these EXPs, streaks, and weekly practice report. So this is pretty common in games, of course, and are easy enough to understand. You gain EXPs by clearing levels, and you get streaks by continuously studying, or if you study a lot of times. And then they have these weekly practice report that show how much work you have already put in during the week. And personally, I'm not really much of a gamer. I don't have even a single game on my phone, so I don't really care so much for this part. I don't hate it, but I don't also like particularly love it. But I still think it's a really good addition to the app because I know people who would enjoy it, and I know people who might find it interesting. So for example, the more EXPs you have, you would literally go up the rank. So you start from being a newbie, and then the more EXPs you get, the highest rank you could gain is the general. I know people who would enjoy that and who would go to this app every day until they reach the general level. Next bonus feature I would like to discuss are the trophies. So technically speaking, yes, they are part of that aspect of gamifying the learning app, which as I've said, I'm not particularly a big fan of, but I really, really enjoy these trophies part. The first reason for that is because the trophies are very cute. They even have these dinosaurs. Anyway, just really, really cute icons, and so I enjoyed getting them. And then another one is I found them so fun and rewarding because, for example, I was studying this lesson. I was trying to clear this lesson. I didn't notice that by answering the test units, I did not commit any mistake. And I didn't notice that because I was just really focused on studying. And then suddenly a trophy notification arrived and it told me that I cleared that level without making any mistakes. It was just such a pleasant surprise. So yeah, I enjoyed this part, and currently I have 11 out of the 37 trophies available, and I can't wait to get the other trophies. Last bonus feature are the learning tips, and they are exactly like how they sound. They are random pieces of information related to learning the language. Sometimes they cover stuff about grammar, sometimes about pronunciation, and even about the cultural aspects of the language. So, for example, when you should use the humble language, when you should use honorific language. So, just different stuff like that. Of course, these information are actually very useful and very essential. But I like the learning tips not only because they are useful and essential, but also because when I was using the app, the learning tips felt like a breath of fresh air, if you know what I mean. So, sometimes you're so focused on the game or on the lesson, you just end up going through the motions. Taking a pause and visiting the learning tips kind of diverts your attention into another aspect of learning the language. And I just found that very refreshing. Gave me the feeling of not being stuck in a lesson or not being stuck in a rigid study schedule. So, yeah, I like that. Currently, there are, I think, 95 learning tips available. If you do get the app, or no, when you do get the app, I suggest reading all of the learning tips because they're so much fun and they're very eye-opening when it comes to studying and understanding the language. So I suggest you read all of them. And the way I understand it is, I think they would add to the learning tips every now and then. That's it. I know you're itching to finish this video because I know you're excited to download Hey Japan. But before we end, let me just talk about the pricing as well. I have mentioned a lot of great stuff about this app, and you might be thinking it costs a fortune, but then again, you would be wrong. Especially right now, you could get it for up to 70% off. That means you can have a lifetime premium Hey Japan account for only 2,700 yen. Yes, you heard that right. 2,700 yen premium lifetime, and all those amazing features that I have discussed. So go ahead and download it right now. Get your premium account right now. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, do give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. Bye. Thank you.